The cold wind sliced through the prison yard, but Michael Carter barely noticed. 6 months behind bars, accused of crimes he didn't commit, had hardened him to everything, except the pain of losing his K9 partner, Luke. The Belgian Malinois wasn't just a dog. He was family, a partner in every sense of the word. And the thought of never seeing him again hurt worse than the betrayal that had put him behind these steel bars. Once, Carter had been a decorated officer, a man who walked with pride, upholding the law with unwavering integrity. Now, he was just another inmate, stripped of his badge, his reputation smeared with accusations of corruption. His fellow officers had turned their backs on him. The justice system he had sworn to serve had failed him, and now he was being transferred to a maximum security prison, a final step in the nightmare that had become his life. But before he left, they had granted him one last request, one final visit with Luke. He expected it to be painful, a bittersweet goodbye to the only soul who had never doubted him. He thought he'd leave the room with nothing but memories of his loyal partner. He never expected Luke to bring him the truth, because the moment the dog stepped into that visitation room, everything changed. The reunion wasn't just emotional, it was urgent. Luke wasn't there just to see him. He had something to say, and Carter, trained to read his partner's every move, every signal, recognized it instantly. Luke had found something that could change everything. This is the story of loyalty that defied injustice, a partnership stronger than betrayal, and a K9 who refused to let his handler take the fall for a crime he didn't commit. Wrongfully convicted cop pleads to see his K9 one last time. What happens next is unbelievable. The autumn wind whistled through the barren exercise yard of Chester County Correctional Facility, carrying with it the acrid smell of defeat that seemed to permeate every corner of the prison. Michael Carter stood at the chain-link fence, his once proud police uniform replaced by standard-issue orange coveralls that hung loosely on his frame. 6 months in prison had stripped away more than just his freedom. It had taken his dignity, his reputation, and worst of all, his partnership with Luke, the Belgian Malinois who had been more than just a K9 partner to him for the past 5 years. Carter's weathered hands gripped the cold metal fence as he watched the guards change shifts, a routine he'd memorized during his imprisonment. Each day brought the same monotony, the same whispers from other inmates about the dirty cop in their midst, and the same gnawing pain of injustice that threatened to consume him. But today was different. Today, after months of pleading with prison officials and his attorney, he would finally see Luke one last time before his transfer to a maximum security facility. The conviction still felt like a nightmare from which he couldn't wake. The evidence had seemed insurmountable. Seized drug money found in his garage, surveillance footage showing him at locations tied to drug trafficking, and damning testimony from his former supervisor, Captain Richard Walsh. The jury had taken less than 4 hours to find him guilty of corruption and drug trafficking, despite his spotless 15-year record with the department. As Carter waited in the visitation area, his mind drifted back to his last day of freedom. He and Luke had been investigating a series of suspicious warehouse break-ins near the port, routine work that had somehow led to his world crumbling around him. The memory of Luke's confused whines as other officers led Carter away in handcuffs still haunted his dreams. "Officer Carter," a guard's voice cut through his reverie. "Your visitor is here." Carter's heart leaped into his throat as he heard the familiar click of claws against the concrete floor. Then Luke appeared, led by Officer Sarah Mitchell, Carter's former colleague from the K9 unit. The Belgian Malinois' ears perked forward, and his whole body trembled with recognition. "Look," Carter whispered, his voice cracking. The dog lunged forward, straining against his leash until Sarah released him. Luke bounded across the room, but instead of the joyful greeting Carter expected, the dog began an aggressive series of behavioral signals they developed during their years of service together. Luke circled Carter once, then sat, then pawed at his own chest, their code for evidence. Carter's breath caught in his throat. After 5 years together, he knew every one of Luke's signals. This wasn't just an excited reunion. Luke was trying to tell him something. "Sarah," Carter called out, his mind racing. "Has Luke been acting strange lately, especially around the department?" Sarah stepped closer, her face a mask of professional detachment, but her eyes held a glimmer of doubt. "He's been impossible to handle during routine patrols. Keeps trying to drag handlers to the evidence lockup and the captain's office. We thought he was just looking for you. But he's trying to tell us something," Carter finished, watching as Luke continued his pattern of signals. "You know his success rate on cases. When has he ever been wrong?" Sarah's expression softened slightly. "I'll talk to your attorney. Maybe we can arrange for Luke to do a supervised walkthrough of the department. It's irregular, but given his training and record," that conversation set in motion a chain of events that would shake the Chester County Police Department to its core. Over the next 2 weeks, under the watchful eyes of internal affairs investigators and Carter's defense attorney, Luke was allowed to conduct several searches of the department. The dog's behavior led investigators to a false panel in Captain Walsh's office, revealing a treasure trove of incriminating evidence, detailed records of drug shipments, payoff schedules, and most importantly, surveillance footage that had been edited to frame Carter. The investigation expanded rapidly. Luke's discoveries prompted several junior officers to come forward with information they'd been too afraid to share. The conspiracy, it turned out, reached far beyond the department. Captain Walsh had been working with a network of corrupt officials and drug traffickers for years, using his position to facilitate drug movements through the port. When Carter and Luke's warehouse investigation had inadvertently threatened to expose the operation, Walsh had moved quickly to discredit and frame Carter. As the truth emerged, Carter watched from his prison cell as the news reports detailed each shocking revelation. The department's corruption task force, working with federal investigators, uncovered a web of criminal activity that stretched back nearly a decade. Captain Walsh and 12 other officers were arrested, along with several Port Authority officials and members of a prominent drug trafficking organization. The evidence for Carter's exoneration was overwhelming. 3 months after Luke's initial visit, Carter stood before a judge once again, this time watching as his conviction was vacated. The testimony of forensic experts proved that the surveillance footage used to convict him had been manipulated, and several of Walsh's co-conspirators confirmed that Carter had been intentionally framed. Walking out of the courthouse into the bright spring sunshine, Carter felt the weight of months of imprisonment finally begin to lift. Luke bounded down the steps beside him, no longer just a visitor, but his partner once again. Sarah Mitchell stood waiting by a patrol car, a broad smile on her face. "The department has a lot to make up for," she said, handing Carter a thick envelope. "This is just the start. Full reinstatement, back pay, and a promotion to lead the new anti-corruption task force. They want officers with proven integrity." Carter barely heard her words. He was too busy watching Luke, who was alertly scanning the crowd gathering outside the courthouse. The dog's dedication had never wavered, even when everyone else had doubted. That unwavering loyalty had not only saved Carter's career and freedom, but had also exposed a corruption scheme that might otherwise have continued for years. The months that followed were filled with both challenges and triumphs. Carter threw himself into rebuilding the department's K-9 unit, implementing new training programs and accountability measures. He and Luke became symbols of integrity within the force, their story a reminder of the unique bond between handler and dog, and the importance of trusting that bond even in the darkest times. 1 year after his exoneration, Carter stood at a podium before the graduating class of the police academy. Luke sat attentively at his side, gray now beginning to show around his muzzle, but his eyes still sharp and alert. "The badge we wear comes with tremendous responsibility," Carter told the fresh-faced recruits. It demands unwavering integrity, even when, especially when, that integrity comes at a personal cost. But we're never truly alone in upholding that responsibility. Sometimes our strongest allies come with 4 legs and an unshakable sense of right and wrong. He reached down to scratch behind Luke's ears, remembering those desperate moments in the prison visiting room when his partner had refused to give up on him. The truth has a way of coming to light, he continued, sometimes through the most unexpected channels. Our job is simply to remain faithful to that truth, no matter what. After the ceremony, Carter and Luke walked together through the police department's memorial garden, where a new statue had recently been installed. The bronze figure depicted a K-9 officer and their dog, standing vigilant together. The plaque beneath it read, "In honor of all K-9 teams who serve with courage, loyalty, and unwavering dedication to justice." Luke sniffed at the statue's base, then looked up at Carter with those intelligent eyes that had seen through the lies and corruption to save his partner. Carter knelt beside him, feeling the strength of their bond that had withstood imprisonment, separation, and the doubts of an entire department. "Good boy," he whispered, the simple praise carrying the weight of everything they'd been through together. Luke's tail wagged once, twice, and he pressed his head against Carter's chest in a gesture of pure affection. In the distance, a call came in over Carter's radio, another case requiring their unique skills. As they headed toward their patrol car, Carter couldn't help but smile. They were back where they belonged, serving their community together, their partnership stronger than ever. The story of the wrongfully convicted cop and the K-9 who proved his innocence became legend within law enforcement circles, a reminder that true justice often comes through unexpected channels. But for Carter and Luke, it was simply a testament to what they'd always known, that the bond between a handler and their K-9 partner transcends ordinary understanding, built on a foundation of trust, loyalty, and an unshakable commitment to truth. As they drove through the streets of Chester County, Carter glanced at his partner in the specially equipped back seat. Luke sat alert, watching the world through the window, ready for whatever challenges awaited them. The autumn wind still blew through the city, but now it carried the promise of justice rather than the weight of defeat. Their story had begun as a tragedy, a dedicated officer wrongly convicted, a partnership torn apart by corruption, but it had transformed into something more, a testament to the extraordinary capabilities of K-9 officers and the enduring power of loyalty. In a world where truth sometimes seems negotiable and justice feels out of reach, Carter and Luke stood as living proof that some bonds can never be broken, and that even in the darkest moments, hope can come on 4 legs with an unwavering heart. Even now, years later, when Carter walks through the department halls with Luke at his side, younger officers stop to watch them pass. They see more than just a K-9 team. They see a living legend, a partnership that broke through prison walls and shattered a corrupt system. But most importantly, they see hope. Hope that justice will always find a way, that loyalty will always prevail, and that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will eventually come to light. For Luke, now approaching retirement age but still eager to serve, every day with Carter is a validation of his unwavering faith. And for Carter, every moment with Luke is a reminder that sometimes the purest form of justice comes with 4 paws and a heart of gold. Together, they continue to patrol the streets of Chester County, their story a testament to the extraordinary bond between handler and K-9, and the remarkable ways that truth can triumph over injustice. In the end, it wasn't just about proving one man's innocence. It was about showing the world that some partnerships transcend human understanding, guided by a loyalty that knows no bounds and a dedication to justice that can never be corrupted. As the sun sets over Chester County each evening, Carter and Luke return home, their day's work done but their legacy continuing to inspire. Their story reminds us all that in the darkest moments, when justice seems furthest away, Hope can come from the most unexpected sources, sometimes with a wagging tail and an unwavering belief in the partner who never lost faith. And so their legend lives on, a beacon of hope for all who believe in the power of truth, the strength of partnership, and the unwavering loyalty of a dog who refused to let injustice prevail. In the end, it wasn't just about solving a crime or exposing corruption. It was about proving that some bonds are truly unbreakable, forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by an unshakable faith in each other. For in the heart of every K9 handler, there lives the knowledge that their partner is more than just a working dog. They are a testament to the extraordinary capabilities of these remarkable animals and the profound ways they touch and transform our lives. And in the heart of every police dog, there burns a loyalty so pure and true that it can pierce through the darkest lies and illuminate the path to justice. Carter and Luke's story continues to echo through the halls of the Chester County Police Department, a reminder that sometimes the greatest heroes walk on four legs, and that the purest form of justice comes wrapped in fur, guided by an unwavering heart and an unshakable belief in the truth. Their partnership stands as a living testament to the extraordinary power of faith, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between a handler and their K9, proving that even in the darkest moments, hope can come bearing a badge, a wagging tail, and a heart full of unconditional love.